live. Wow, that was so much easier than the last time. I really messed it up the last time. Okay. All right, I gotta pop this over here. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Yeah, and the YouTube says we're on, so.
Okay, at some point it will get less awkward. I will get better at it. Uh I mentioned I think to you, I'm sure, well, you were probably there at some point, but doing like daily live streams, but not until it starts to get colder,
Right.
because I ride my bike at night because it's light out and it's hot. It's summertime. So like after my calls, I go and ride my bike, and I just want to do that. Like I love the people out there, and I'm happy to give them information, but I also really want to ride my bike this summer. So I
You
didn't get
you
to do
want
it
to
last
do,
year.
yeah, I mean, you've been wanting to do the summer things and the outside things and the all the
Yeah,
things
it's been
instead of,
fun too.
yeah, instead of standing in front of a computer, which is not as much fun.
Right. It's definitely not. It's still fun though. Um, let's see. Let me pull up. Hopefully I can have all of these
Summer
things up
things.
here.
Oh,
Oh,
that was me. My
oh,
mistake,
okay.
as
No
ever.
worries. At some point, my daughter's gonna ring the doorbell. Hopefully at some point, I'll have to probably go downstairs to let her in. There's the house phone is the call button for the apartment isn't working for some reason, so I might have to do that. But let me jump over to Stellarium, and I'll go through this real quick. Let's see, what do we
Okay.
have here? Now I have the because my moon shows up now in Stellarium, which is so wonderful. So I have the date over here being, can you see the screen? Is it screen
Yes,
sharing? Okay.
I can. The screen sharing is on.
Okay.
It is happening.
So I just have it for 4 o'clock. It's the same lat long. It's the Giza Plateau. But on the 6th of July, which we have this conjunction with the sun and the moon in Gemini, which is what the new moon is. And for anybody out there watching this probably later, I suspect no one actually watches the actual live stream. But the moon is conjunct with the sun every month, and it is in opposition to the sun every month, which that's what gives us the full moon. And that is not a
Yes.
time where things are blocked, as you know. That is a time of a lot of light and energy, which just goes to show you that the classical aspects, the way that they're talked about and the things that they do, don't necessarily do those things. So there's a little bit more nuance to it anyways. Okay. So hold on. Is this the right, am I looking at the right month? I've been writing a lot, okay, like a lot.
Okay.
And that means that I'm only partially in this universe. I'm like, I've got one foot in another reality right now. So when I wrote this up, for some reason, why was I thinking that the moon was over in the Hyades? I thought that because I've been writing. So my video description will obviously have to be adjusted, which is fine. But basically what's going on here is this is going to increase all of this Gemini energy this month. So Gemini, these were Meshlam Tai and Lugalira, and they were both, the names are just epithets for the god of war, death, and pestilence, Nergal, and he was the god of the underworld as well. He was very soft and squishy inside. Now he was, kind of a badass, so to speak, on the outside, but when you get right down to it, just a giant ball of squish and jello and other spongy materials. So we have a lot of sensitivity in here. It does tend to be more on the emotional sensitivity as opposed to the physical side, which you would get maybe more in Leo or even a little bit in Cancer. This is very empathic too. So this is going to increase all of this energy. It's very important this month for everyone. And keep in mind, this happens every 13 months. The moon is going to be over here. It's not like exactly year to year. It shifts, as you know, Friar, I'm sure.
Yes.
But this is a time of like physical and emotional sensitivity, more so the emotional side for everyone. So everyone just needs to be very careful out there. Make sure that you are not tolerating and spending time with negative people or toxic environments. And that goes for physical toxicity too. Sometimes you can't really get around that part. So at the very least, try to manage the emotional stuff. Now that's a lot harder to do when your family members are the toxic people in your life, and that sucks. There's a lot of things you can do to negate some of that. Meditation is one of them. There's a link in the description to our free weekly meditation support group. So you're welcome to join that.
Yes.
I invite so many people to the meditation group, and sometimes they jump on, but for all the people that I do invite, and I don't think it's all scheduling, I think some people are afraid. And
I
that's
agree.
understandable. Yeah, like it's kind of scary, right? To
It
get on
well,
the internet.
it wasn't for me. But I'm not normal, so I guess that's to be expected. I do the same. I invite people to the meditation group, people I like and people I think are, sort of stable and sane, and they they're scared too. I'm like, okay, maybe it's because they were in other groups that really like exploded or went downhill or whatever. That does happen quite a lot.
And that is a possibility, but I don't get that. Most of the people that I'm talking to have been void of any type of support for a very long time. And I think, even before COVID, it was weird to do online groups. Like people did it, especially people in like the business and entrepreneurial space. You kind of have to. You got to do a lot of online networking, especially if you work remote where you have clients or potential customers in other parts of the world. It's not really that strange. But for other people who are used to their normal communities and brick and mortar businesses, it seems weird. But it's definitely not. I think it's easier, especially being very energy sensitive. I think it's a lot easier to deal with people from a great distance, and then you can just turn off your phone or computer and just be done. Go take a
Right.
shower or do whatever you have to do to
De-energize.
yeah, just get rid of everything. But either way, this is going to be one of those sensitive months, so everyone kind of just needs to watch out. And that's doubly so because Venus is here. Now Venus is Inanna Ishtar, and she is the goddess of love, beauty, fertility, sexuality, and a lot of those more garish traits that she had kind of came later. Early on, she was much more of like an earth mother or a vegetation goddess, and very loving and nurturing, and the divine feminine, the supreme divine feminine.
Right.
But she is very much the heart. And so having all of this heart-centered energy wrapped up in here is just going to intensify everything else. So on top of that, we have Mercury in Cancer. Now, Friar, what were you telling me? It was probably private information, but I'm going to call you back. Oh, Nikki was saying something about Leo, your mind getting in your way. She said Leo rising. Is that what she said?
Leo rising.
Okay.
She said Leo rising tends to get in their own way. And I said, maybe that's why my mind is getting in my way.
Okay. Well, some of the mind getting in
Oh,
the way, that's going to happen to everybody this month anyways, because Mercury is in Cancer. Now, sometimes when Mercury is really close to the sun tends to overpower some of that cognitive, just like the objective mind, the one that wants to eat all the information. In this case, it really kind of pulls it apart, and it becomes much more, it just empowers the mind to kind of run and do its own thing. And here in the access point to the underworld, as far as the Mesopotamian sky is considered one of the access points to the underworld anyways, this becomes very internal, and it can really just give the mind the power to go all in on whatever it's doing. So in some cases, like if you're writing like me, that's a good thing because it results in a lot of creative output. But if you don't have something to focus on, it can definitely go terribly, terribly amiss, and you can just eat yourself alive and overthink everything. So
yeah, Nine of Swords is great.
that's right. That's right. Let me see what else we got going on over here. Saturn's still working its way here between Aquarius and Pisces. That's a much bigger shift that's affecting the world at large. And I do think a lot of our technology changes that we're dealing with is probably a part of that. It's going to go on for the next year. And then Mars is working its way into Taurus. That's not great as it gets closer and closer to the Pleiades, but this is something that is also like it's a slower process. It's not just month to month. Fortunately, I think this Jupiter over here conjunct with Aldebaran is going to temper some of that. So maybe keep us out of a nuclear war. That's what I'm
That
in
would be
for here.
neato.
Yeah, that'd
Yeah,
be great, wouldn't it? Because we
swell.
have the potential. So yeah, so just a sensitive month with maybe too much overthinking. So if you're set up out there to drive yourself crazy, especially dealing with your relationships. Not going to be a great month for you, I would expect. Okay. But if you can get a handle on your brain and just detox from the people and the stuff that is sucking the life out of you, you'll probably make great strides this month. Okay. Let me pop out. Is there anything I'm missing, Friar, that I should probably?
Oh, well, I mean, you didn't talk about the great evil that Saturn is and how malefic it is.
I did
And
not. I didn't talk about
no.
that because it's not. It's just
Well,
not.
I heard that on TikTok though, so it's got to be
You
true.
did?
Oh
Oh,
yeah, you know.
yeah, it's
You
definitely not. I love Saturn. That's like one of my favorite planets. How could it not be? If you know, like it's about Ninurta, why would it not be like one of your most favorite planets? I don't know. Well, I do know. I mean, it was the whole, mostly like medieval stuff, like medieval superstition. But prior to that, we're looking more at, like the classical. I
right.
can't even blame the classical associations. It's definitely not even that.
Did I get kicked
Kat
out? No.
said she will be joining us here shortly. Who
Okay,
got
cool.
kicked out of what?
No, no, I thought I was kicked out because Zoom did a weird thing
Oh, I
because
gotta do
it's
that thing. I gotta click the little button to
I'm
make you.
here.
Are you sure I was sharing my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
I
I
saw it both
trust
on
your judgment.
my
Okay.
iPad and on the
Okay, good.
Mac in front of me. So yeah, you did.
All right. How do I put user in timeout? No. Oh, you're already a managing moderator? Oh, I don't have to do it
Yeah.
again. You already are.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it persists. So
Okay,
I
fantastic.
I get the blue wrench this for so long as you'll have me.
Yeah. Well, just behave yourself over there so I don't
You
have
know
to put
me.
you in the timeout.
I'm kind of wild. I'm
Yeah.
pretty out of control.
That's the word I would use to describe you too. So this means I have to make a new thumbnail. I think I was tired the day that I like put all that together. I was rushing. Hi, Kat. I've really been writing a lot. When I say this, I mean some days like 8 hours a day. So
Okay, wow.
yeah. So like I'm not here. I wrote right up until like an hour before we jumped on, and I'm only partially here. So yeah, so anybody out there, like I have to change the video description, I have to change the thumbnail. It's gonna be a whole thing. So
Right
yes.
on.
Hey, but you
I
know
can't.
what? Nobody caught me. None of the astrologers that I sent the email to about the live stream, nobody was like, hey, I don't think that that's where this stuff is this month. I don't know what I was doing. I was probably looking at it like, where was, I probably had my year wrong. I was probably like in the 1800s or something. Hi,
Tippecanoe
Kat.
and Tyler too.
Did I mute? Are you muted? I can't tell.
I think she's
No, you're
black.
good. You're
I
good.
don't know. Am I muted?
No.
Nope.
You can hear me?
Hello.
Yes,
Yes.
I can hear you.
I don't know if there's feedback. I have a fan on because it's a little warm in here, so hopefully
hear
it's
it.
okay.
I don't hear it.
Okay, good.
You guys, I gotta get more hot water. Can you
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'll be right back.
I'll be the person. Hi, Kat.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
How's it? I'm good. It's been a good day so far. Did some gardening. Did a little workout.
All the things.
How about you?
Pretty good. Pretty good. It's starting to get swampy out there again. But I'm not because of where I live, I'm not a humongous fan of the summer, so it gets uncomfortable.
Where are you at? Down south?
Yep. Down south. Swampy land. Okay, you
Yep.
got your hot water?
I lived
Well, I
lived
had
down
to
in
turn the
Florida
tea
for
kettle on. Oh, sorry, Kat. Go ahead. There was a delay.
There might
You
be
live
a
in
delay on my end. Yeah, I lived in Florida for about 7 years, but it was really not for me.
It wasn't for me either.
no. A sunny place for shady people.
You know, I keep trying to explain this to my daughter. It's fun to explain stuff to children. It's like super fun. She asks the best questions. But like when you need bad days sometimes, like you need some level of suffering in life so that you can really truly appreciate all the great stuff. So she'll have a bad day, like something, she's like something tiny. she pulled her hair, some little boy pulled her hair. Oh, this was the worst day. Like, no, sometimes you need clouds, you need rain, you need 2 weeks of rain to really just appreciate when it hits 100 and like you have 100% humidity. Like, hey, you know what, at least it's not cold and raining today, right? So it's all about perspective and just trying to find the joy in all of the moments. I think so.
Yeah. All facets of life.
Yes. Kat, what you been up to? Haven't seen you in a while.
I've been working on business stuff. I've been gardening a lot. I've been dancing, working out. I gave up coffee.
You did. Congratulations.
Ooh.
So
How long has it
I
been?
actually I got sick, which is really rare for me, but it was not like, I don't know what it was. I couldn't eat, or I just didn't feel well. I couldn't eat. I had no energy for like a few days. So it was kind of like I decided to use it as like a little reset. And I just never went back to coffee after that. So that was about a month ago. And I'll wait for Abby to come back. She disappeared.
She did. I think the hot
She
water
probably
may be
went
ready.
to get the door.
Or the door.
I like the pink hue to the background she's got going on.
I may be
I
wrong.
wonder
I
if
think
it's a
those are
pink light. It looks like pink light.
Yeah, I think it's grow lights for her plants. But I could be dead wrong.
Okay, that makes
What did I miss? What did you what did you say?
Are there grow
Oh.
lights? Is that what's making the pink hue?
Oh, my plant brothel? Yes. Yes.
I like the magenta fuchsia color
Yes.
that comes through.
I like to think that this is what it looked like on, Saturn back when the Earth was probably like inside of it or something.
Oh, that reminds me. I've also been reading this book series by C.S. Lewis, the Space Trilogy.
Okay.
It's really great. The first one is based on Mars. The second one, Venus. And I just started the third one now. But it's really great. You should both check it out.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
And the second one is called Paralandra, and it's what Venus is called. And the descriptions of the planet throughout that book are just incredible. But I think, yeah, you'd find it really beautiful, I'm sure.
Can you send a link? So, because I guess I can check it out later because I forgot it's being recorded, I think. I think it's being
I'll send a link.
Okay.
I don't know if the chat gets recorded.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. But...
Okay.
But yeah, so I stopped my little spiel when you disappeared. But yeah, so I've been feeling good, but I drink some tea because I really just like hot drinks. I like the ritual of drinking something. Plus it's an excuse to put a lot of cream on something. So so yeah, I've been drinking like chai tea and some teas and things, and but I've been feeling fine. I miss it sometimes because I really love the taste of coffee. So I figure I'll do this for a while, and maybe then I'll have it maybe once in a blue moon if I feel like it.
I'm scared to have it at this point. Not just because I was like a serious addict, but I just don't want, sometimes when you drink too much coffee or something, you get like headaches and stuff. Like, I don't want a headache. I don't want stomach issues. And I definitely don't want to go back to being like a total coffee drug addict, which is what I felt like. Because like so much of my life revolved around it. But I do the same thing. So one of the reasons it took me so long to stop drinking coffee was because I love milk and dairy and cream. Like, coffee is a great excuse to just chug a bunch of cream, right? Yeah. So I don't know why it took me so long to figure it out, but I just switched to, instead of getting I was drinking a large latte every single day at the exact same time. Like, my whole schedule revolved around it. And it wasn't just about the caffeine fix. That was definitely a part of it. It's what you said. It's a whole ritual. It's like walking to the coffee shop and, seeing the city and like smelling things and seeing the trees. We have tons of plants and trees here, you guys. Like, it's very Russians don't like, they don't mow lawns. They don't, I mean, they trim the trees and stuff, but other than that, it looks pretty wild here. It's not like normal cities, I guess. But anyway, so it's like walking in nature and then going and talking to the people and, you know, socializing and being a part of your neighborhood and like walking and carrying, especially when it's like 30 below and you're carrying your hot coffee and you got it all stuffed in your fur coat and stuff. Like it's a whole thing. It's like this whole wonderful experience. Then I figured out like, oh, I can just have them not put the coffee in it. But it took me like just up until this year. Like, why don't I just get like a super hot milk? Now, it was a process of having to explain to the baristas, like, no, I literally just want the milk. Are you sure I can put a little coffee on the top? Like, no, no, no. You don't want any coffee flavor? We have coffee sugar, like coffee syrup. No, just the hot milk. And most of the places don't do it right until
That's
like
cool.
the 4th or 5th time. So, but I get a place right across the street, but, or I go to the place across the street. So that helped a lot. But then when I was on carnivore over the winter time, I tried really hard to not do any plants. And that was part of the coffee, getting rid of the coffee was a part of it just to see how it was. But I only went like a few days before I started drinking the chicory powder, the chicory root powder, which does taste it's got that little bit of a bitter taste to it that is similar to, it's like very weak coffee. So I still am drinking that. I haven't had any tea, like no pop. I don't really drink that anyways, but like anything with caffeine, I'm scared. It took me a while too to have some chocolate because chocolate's got caffeine in it. I already noticed, so I started out like a few months back, just a tiny little nibble, you know, just one little truffle. And now I'm up to 6 truffles a day, just, you know, like like I'm a very regimented drug addict, like whatever the drug is, like I'm very, you know, precise about it. So yeah, I'm a little concerned about that because I don't know if it's the caffeine that makes me do, or if it's just chocolate's delicious. It doesn't matter. I do plan to, I'm doing a kind of like a recomp right now. Like I brought my calories down a little bit, but I'm still lifting really heavy. You guys, I put on like 10 pounds in the last 6 months.
10 pounds of what?
Well, I don't know. So too much information, but too bad you guys are here. So now you got to listen to it. But, so you know how when you like, you're standing up and, you tilt your pelvis down. So your butt's kind of like you put it underneath you, right? But your back straight. Well, your butt kind of flattens out when you do that, right? And if you kind of like bend your back, then it sticks your butt up in the air. Can you get my visual? Well, my butt has gotten so big, from all of the squats and deadlifts, right? That when I tilt my butt down, like it doesn't move, like it's still there. It's huge. Like it's getting so huge, which is what you want when you're doing lots of squats and deadlifts. So no complaints, but I've gone up like a pant size, you know, like it's pretty serious. But anyways, so I don't want to quit gaining muscle, but I am trying to do just like slowly bring the calories down to kind of see. I'm already feeling it in my workouts. Like I can tell it, it's just, they're just not as good. So I'm going to do this throughout the summer because I'm riding my bike a lot anyways. Like, you know, I'm like 12 miles on every bike ride. So, but after that, I am going to go back on carnivore.
You say you're bringing your calories down. Are you focusing on specific macros that you're changing or just eating less in general?
No, I make sure that I eat at least 160 grams of protein a day, and then the rest, whatever, I don't care. Okay. I can't do low fat. It's horrible. Like I can live on fat. Like I'm, you know, so I end up eating like maybe 200 carbs, which is by a normal diet is probably low, but it's enough to like work out and, you know, it's fine.
Yeah. Is it fruit or starches or?
Oh, no. I went back to bread.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Straight up.
Okay, starches.
You know, I'm not really big into vegetables. After carnivore this time, because I've done it multiple times. But I ate some tomatoes at one point and it was gross. I'm like, oh, I don't ever want to put another tomato in my body. Like they taste good, but then like, I don't know, it's indigestion or just, it's not right. And other stuff too, like peppers. I used to love peppers. I can't do those anymore. I just don't want any of that stuff. So I've just been trying to like intuitively listen. I got a crock pot and I've been doing a lot of roasts and I stuff just for filler because that's all they're good for anyways is potatoes. So I'm like, just potatoes, meat, and carrots. And just kind of, throw it on some rice. I do like rice, and a lot of eggs, but it's still my diet's still mostly meat. But I probably eat like 60 grams. I know everything's in grams. I don't know how to convert it back to like whatever it is in America. 60 grams is like a little handful of
grams.
Of bread. Yeah, it's so like 60 grams of bread, with a tiny, it's not like a lot. I'm not like going crazy with it, but I do miss carnivore. Nothing, I don't care what anybody says, nothing feels better than being on carnivore. It's not even a debate. But, I do try to eat seasonally. And even though the root vegetables are not seasonal now, I mean, people are still pulling beets and carrots and potatoes out of their cellars and stuff from last year, but like even the berries, because we get well, it's not really berry season either. It's always berry season in like Uzbekistan or wherever they're bringing the fruits in from. But like I don't know, I just don't care. I just don't, I know I should, but I just don't. I like meat and fat and bread, but that goes back to like I have a bread addiction. I recognize this. I admit it. They don't have AA for bread addicts. They should, because bread's way harder to kick, I think, than the other drugs. Not coffee. Coffee was the hardest thing ever, I think. But I made it sound like I've been on all of like I'm a recovering addict of all of the drugs. And I'm not. Mostly just like I did smoke cigarettes for like 4 years. And I just could stop. I just like I don't want to smoke anymore. And I just like threw it away and I was done. And it was not a big deal. And I don't,
That's how I was with alcohol. And I know people that just like cannot do it. And I'm just like, yeah, I just kind of stopped. But nicotine, on the other hand,
I mean, it's nice. It's fun to smoke, right? But I just don't need it.
And
do you go ahead.
Have you ever done your Ayurveda doshas, like figured out all that good stuff, or are you just like okay?
It'll probably make people mad, but it was all nonsense.
Okay.
Like none of it was good. Like it was all a bad idea. But everybody's body's different. And that's why I was a vegan and vegetarian for a 9-year period total. I try to go back to figure out like how many years I was actually vegan. It was most of the time. It was probably like 7 years total. And fortunately back when I was doing that, social media wasn't huge like it is now, but there's a lot of militant psychotic vegans and vegetarians that they just really put a lot of hate out there because you're killing all of the animals. They don't understand that, like, no, all of the like you don't know how many animals and creatures die when you put a crop in, like put like a 10-acre crop in and see how many bunnies and like deer you kill, not to mention all the tiny little insects and stuff too with the insecticides. But train of thought, where was I going with that? Oh yeah, so I'm used to like I recognize that for some people that's fine and they can do a vegetarian diet, although it is very rare. I don't necessarily think it's good. So like I would never push a diet on anybody. I'm even very careful because like in a chart you can tell some people, Leo rising would definitely do it. Some people need more red meat and fat, and I'm definitely one of those people. But some people they can get away with a nice balance. Now, people who have a lot of Virgo in their chart usually end up with some sort of gut health issues, more sensitivities to grains and stuff. But like there's different things that you can look at to try to figure it out. But yeah, so like just like I don't know, like everyone's body's different. Just like the cigarettes, the alcohol, like people get addicted to different stuff. I mean, it's very, your addictions are very individual.
Right. Yeah. I have very, very hungry nicotinic receptors, I think.
It happens.
I'm gonna have to send you.
Never tried.
Oh, good for you.
Nicotine. Yeah, in any form.
Probably good. You're not really missing anything.
No, I heard on TikTok that Ayurveda was totally real, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean,
Sorry.
I don't have anything nice to say about it. I mean, it's probably fine. It's probably fine. I just, some of my hangups could be like philosophical in nature. I just don't, I don't know. It's like creating a medical system based on the 4 elements. It's not enough information. It's very limited. I mean, you can do it. People do it. But like there's more to the body than, the humors and I don't know. I just don't think it's good. But I do know a lot of people who've like they've gone to clinics and stuff like in for like 30 days and come out of it like just feeling amazing. But I don't know how much of that is because they were eating poison before and just running their bodies ragged with stress. I think that's what helps too with a vegetarian diet. When people like leave the standard American diet and they become vegetarian, yeah, they feel great for like a couple of years until your B12 totally runs out and you start getting depressed and stuff.
Yeah. I wonder how much of it is just like changing your diet.
I was strict vegan for.
Oh, sorry, Kat, say that again. You froze for a second.
Sorry, I think my internet connection is unstable, so there's probably a delay on my end, so hopefully it's not horrible. I was just saying that I was vegan for 13 years.
Oh, that's too long.
And it destroyed my health. And also informed the way I practice as a nutritionist. So it's a good thing overall. I came through it. I eat these days about probably 90% and above animal foods and feel better than I've ever felt. But one thing I was going to just mention that you reminded me of when you were talking about the militant vegans, I just feel like I came from that sort of place for a while. I could put myself in that category many years ago. And now I realize that whatever this realm is, part of what the laws are here are that in order to sustain ourselves in a way that is, I would say, for optimal health, that's just what needs to happen, is that we eat the flesh of other animals. It's I didn't make the rules. I don't think that I just don't think that it's the people that think that it's bad karma or that you're more spiritually aware or more spiritual in general if you are vegan or vegetarian. I think that's misguided, because in this realm this is just the way it works, so we're kind of bound by those laws, or at least that's the way I see it these days.
I would, first of all, it's hard to picture you screaming at someone in all caps on the internet, like telling them that.
I didn't do that, but okay. I was in a punk band and I was the singer, or you could say I was screaming. And one of the topics was, the suffering of animals and being vegan and stuff like that. So
I think there's a lot of, on the surface, some really good points that somebody could make from it, but they are minuscule when you consider like just it's not possible to not kill all kinds of, like, it's not vegetarianism is not sustainable, not just for the body but for the earth, at least in the way that it exists now. I think balance is probably the right answer anyways, in most things. But yeah, people don't realize that factory farming is gross. It is disgusting no matter which way. Yes. And but it doesn't matter if you're factory farming plants or animals. Like, it's horrible. It's horrible for the creatures. It's horrible for the earth. And I don't think most people debate that. But there is a concern that I have, and there's not much I can do with this, but I wholeheartedly believe that plants are fully conscious. I don't think that they're any less sentient than animals. I think their form of consciousness is just different, and we can't relate to it as much. And so we file that into the guilt-free category, even though like more and more research is coming out that they think they remember, they feel something close to fear. They can, measure it with their electric activity and stuff. When you watch them, when they have the cameras and they watch them for like weeks on end, you can see them reaching out and trying to grab stuff as they're growing. I mean, there's some sort of intelligence there. It's just we don't relate to it. And I think that's very arrogant on the part of human beings, where we think like we're somehow better. Now, all of my Hindu and Buddhist friends will probably get upset with me for saying this, but on the scale of karmic, what do we call it? The karmic totem pole, food chain, whatever it is. I don't agree that humans are somehow a more spiritually advanced life form. That's not the word. What am I looking for, you guys? Again, brain half here, half somewhere else. Like I don't think that we're evolving. Like we chanted Hare Krishna enough times, and so now we didn't have to be a dog last time. Now we, this time we get to be like a person, and that's basically like the idea, right? I think it's probably backwards. So I think that we evolve more into something natural as time goes on. But again, it's more of like a well, I don't really get behind the idea of good karma, bad karma, at least in the same respect that other people do. But I really do think that plants, and I've sensed this in meditation. I know a lot of people have done like ayahuasca and iboga. They've gotten the same thing, but like the plants there's a spirit there. It's intelligent and it teaches you something from like a divine place. So if you're accessing that as a form of divinity, then who's the student on the spiritual level and who's the teacher? It's definitely we're not doing the teaching when we access that stuff. But I mean, I could be, totally full of it. Who knows?
Today's theme was creativity, and now it's pissing off all the spiritual communities.
It could, yes, yes. Apparently,
yeah.
Sometimes
okay.
it has to be done, though. Sometimes you can't avoid it.
It's, yeah, people should be around for Sundays, man.
Yeah, you guys. Anybody watching this? If you've made it, 40 minutes into one of the live stream repeats, like definitely jump on the meditation calls with us. It's interesting.
Where we talk about meditation.
For a little bit. And then we go way off the rails.
Yeah.
But I do think the information is very valuable. I was talking to someone yesterday, the day before. It doesn't probably matter exactly when, but it was recent, so I should remember the conversation. But and I probably already kind of touched on this just a few minutes ago, but like people need support. So as like a coach, and having a coach, and having done like group coaching and one-on-one or whatever, like you recognize how valuable it is to have not just somebody to talk to and listen to, but to actually like people who've gone through something similar to what you have, because you always feel so isolated, right? When you're going through your trauma, it always feels like it's just you, but it rarely is. And some of the more even like deeper, darker, traumatic experiences that people have, a lot of times they feel like, you're for real the only one, and you don't realize how prevalent some of this stuff is. Just like abusive childhood, just, totally generalizing. You didn't see it growing up in other people, maybe like a few other families or something were smacking their kids around too much. But like in your, like that was your whole existence growing up. So you just assume like it's kind of rare, when it turns out like the more people you talk about or talk to, like they are dealing with the same stuff. So if we just all like stop hiding in our houses or behind our phones or whatever and started talking to each other, I think it'd probably be a net benefit for humanity at large. I mean, And Friar, that's what you're trying to do over there, serve people who are in need of communicating with other people.
I do, and it's a thing that I really want to do. And it's a thing I'm good at, and I think I think it's important. I mean, I think it serves people in a great way to be heard. I mean, I think a lot of these social and national and international problems wouldn't be as acute as they are if people were just felt like they were being listened to, and I can't fix that, but I can at least offer a listening service for folks for their own individual, uh, I hesitate to say advancement, just I know for me, if I feel like I'm being heard, it feels better. I can say that.
Yeah. I would
So
think that's the case with anyone. So in Rich Litvin's book, which one? The Prosperous Coach, that's what it is. He wrote it with his coach. So it's like I'm assuming you haven't read it yet because you haven't come to me with all of your mind-blowing epiphanies. So I know that you haven't read it yet.
Okay.
Because it's like it's one of those books where you're like, oh my God, like what the heck, he writes it with his coach, and one of his coaches, like they switch chapters between each other. And I forget his name, and I'm sorry, but I suck with names anyways. One of the things he said is it wouldn't matter if these people, like if they're not talking to you, it would be just as good if they would stop on their way home from work and talk to a lamppost and just talk and just get the stuff out and like communicate to them. So, I mean, there's benefit just for that reason alone. And people don't realize it because they're so closed off and, again, they feel isolated. They haven't had a chance to, or they haven't found anybody that they trust enough to have those conversations with. But again, Friar, if these people are coming to you anyways, just out of the woodwork because they gravitate to you for that, then that's probably not the issue.
Here and there. I think, and that was sort of a natural thing. Like that was just stuff that happened in my life, right? Now I'm trying to do it in a more structured way, obviously, which is I'm finding to be quite different. But all the same, I'm starting to get some referrals here and there from some folks.
Well, that's good.
So a little bit. I think this time next year, I will have a much more densely packed calendar. I'd like to believe.
Well, good.
So that's good.
Yeah, for everyone involved.
I think having a witness when you're sharing things about your life or whatever it is that you want to talk about, when you have a witness, there's something about that interaction that I feel like allows for deeper healing to happen. So sometimes even like when you're mentioning, people going to like that Ayurvedic clinic or whatever it is, I feel like no matter what modality, even having a reading with you, Abby, things like that, like I just feel like having a witness and having someone there with you and talking about some of these things, or it just allows for healing to occur more. So it's like how much of it is the actual modality and the things you're doing versus the being witnessed and seen and heard and all that. I think it's really important.
I agree. Some of my best epiphanies happened when I was talking to some of my coaches. I did have, unfortunately, only one of my therapists actually like that happened. And I don't know, she must have just asked the right questions and she just, got me talking. Cause that's really what it is, you just gotta hit the button and you just gotta start going. And when it comes out, you have your breakthroughs and your moments. It doesn't happen as much when you're by yourself, but you don't talk to even people who talk to themselves. Like you don't, I mean, I talk to myself a lot, but a lot of it's internal and you come up with different stuff when you can hear it and it makes it more real. And then you can address it in a much more tangible way, I think.
Yeah. And just
to, Oh, go ahead, Friar. Go ahead.
Both of you are welcome to contact me and get on my calendar for that if you care to. Just a reminder.
Thank you for that offer.
Yeah, for sure.
You are welcome.
I might take you up on it, but
you should do.
The writing is
I know. Oh,
really eating up some time. Yes, go ahead.
So are you writing from like a weird inspired place where it flows out like water and it could just kind of happen forever? Just curious.
I don't know if I can, like, I don't know how to answer that question. I definitely feel like I'm channeling something that
Okay.
is like it's already out. It's like when you write music or something, you know, like the music's already there, you're just kind of pulling it out of the ether. I kind of feel like that. But yeah, I go into like I'm like tuned in, you know, like I'm gone, not here. Which is
Okay.
not good for my family because when they talk to me, then it like startles me and I'm like, you know, like what's going on? But yeah, it's a whole thing.
Because I asked because I went through a thing like that about 2 years ago, where it's just like suddenly I was just getting nonstop information, and I just sort of let it happen, and I was writing, writing, writing. I got to the point where I couldn't write fast enough, so I was using the dictation software just to say the words out loud and let it write for me. And the amount of errors were voluminous and
Yeah, I couldn't do it.
hilarious, but it
I
was
couldn't do it.
it was because there was just so much. My hands were cramping. I was like, I can't do this anymore. And eventually that stopped. And I'm not sure if that was a good or bad thing, but
No,
it was
mine doesn't stop. I have to stop it sometimes. I'm like, no, I have to work. And then what will end up happening is I'll go like 4 to 6 months with I can't touch it because I know if I start writing again, it's all
it'll
over. Like, yep, nothing else matters anymore. And that's what I'm doing. So it's kind of good because I recognize that that is a part of why and I get this in my meditations too. Like, no, this is one of the things I came here to do. One of the hard parts for me was, and it was a recent revelation, I think, or, you know, thing that I'm accepting about myself is that the outcome used to heavily influence, like my writing because I felt like I had to accomplish it. You know, I had to finish something. Now I'm to the point where it does not matter to me if anyone ever puts eyes on it, because it's not about that. It's about the actual experience of of writing it. And I think some of the reasoning or like the part of the way I was able to get solace in this whole like, no, I'm not going to probably ever finish everything that I want to is like really coming to terms with or feeling it or knowing it that like our experiences here were kind of just like the universal consciousness, like the sensory organs. And just I equate it to like it's probably not the best image, but like an octopus, right? Like the octopus arms, they can feel every tiny, tiny, tiny little thing. And they have like, what do they have? Like more than one brain? Like each of their tentacles has a brain. Are they tentacles? No, what are they? Little feet, arms, what? It doesn't matter. They're little sucky pads that
You're
they
right,
have.
tentacles.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They feel like all kinds of stuff. That's kind of what I feel like we are. And that's not the best analogy, but sometimes that's the best way I can explain it. And so we're a part of the same organism, but we're just like tiny little parts of one big whole. And I think we pull all this information that all of our experiences, we kind of take it back with us and it's ever present in the field. So that's been nice too. And it did change my writing style. Like I just kind of stopped caring about the outcome. Now that's not, if you're like a writer and you have a publisher, you have deadlines, you have requirements. I could never do that. I could never do that because to me, like writing is something that is like wholly spiritual, and to put those type of limitations, like art, you know, like you cannot give someone like a general idea, but I don't, at a certain point when you put those restrictions on it, like what are you even doing now? Like now you're just a corporate whore, right?
well, yeah. So inspired art versus production art is definitely a thing. And if you're the trouble is if you are um doing art for a living, sometimes you're gonna have to crank shit out that
Oh yeah,
didn't
for sure.
come from the genius, you know?
Yeah, which I
And
couldn't do, that's all.
yeah, I mean, my art teacher in high school was really well known for large commercial art here in the city, and he got paid a lot of money, but it was not inspired. Like, but I think what ended up happening was he did have moments of inspiration where he created a style, and then he continued in that style, not not from inspiration, but from the style that came from the inspiration. So it was sort of like, yeah, I'll make you more of this one thing that was truly inspired. And boy, did he ever. Those things are everywhere. Good for him. But yeah,
it's probably doable. Yeah.
Yeah. That's just that's one of the classic art problems. It's like, how do you do it when you aren't inspired?
Yeah, I don't know. I know a lot of artists who they get jobs as an artist and then they hate it. They're like, I have to start over from scratch. Which would suck. One lady that I talked to, or a girl, I don't know how old she was. I think she was like 18, 19 or whatever. She like worked her whole life to become a professional singer. And she got signed, she got a record deal and hated every minute of it. And like just wanted to go back to singing because once it becomes your like it's work. It takes all of the fun and the love out of it.
Right. Well, you can't just do what you want on your schedule anymore. Like suddenly there's a lot of other people involved and a lot of compromises, and it's not pretty.
That sucks so bad.
It's not pretty. I mean, I spent enough time as a musician to have seen pieces of that. I mean, I didn't get like way into it, but you end up meeting people, knowing people, sharing stories, and it's like, oof, that's rough. And it's something that's so close to your heart. It's super, super hard.
You know what would really suck about making it as a musician, like for real, like, huge. I woke up with Dave Matthews song stuck in my head or something. I was singing it this morning and I'm like, oh my God, like Dave Matthews is still singing Crash, like he's still singing these songs for the Rolling Stones, they're still alive, right? Like they're still singing the same stuff.
They're touring, I think.
Oh my God. Like, could you even imagine? I'm a musician too, like definitely not one of those. Right. But I've written songs and like, I get sick of those things and I don't want to hear them for the next like 10 years. Like I won't pull it out until like, I don't want to look at this. I cannot imagine having to sing the same friggin' thing over and over and over.
No. Well, U2 is a Vegas lounge act now, basically.
Well, they're corporate shills too. Like they're, like that's.
Yeah, but that's what they do now. They have a home gig in Vegas that they play all the time. And I'm like, wow. I mean, Joni Mitchell, she was a painter and a musician. And she said, I don't understand. People didn't ask Van Gogh to make sunflowers over and over again. So why do I have to keep singing the same songs over and over again? But that's how it works. And when you're a musician, you realize very quickly that you're not necessarily the talent. You're basically like the help. Like you're a glorified kitchen staff.
Yes. And to be fair, like if I went to, so like I was in love with Tori Amos for years, like for forever. Okay. If I went to one of her concerts, I would want to hear some of her old stuff. I would not want to hear any of her new music. So it's, so it's a double-edged sword. Like I'm a total hypocrite, but I just wouldn't want to do it. Like I would not want that career. I think, so some of those people like Dave Matthews, who's some of the other ones, like really big, like production and stuff. Garth Brooks would probably be one, like people known for their, like just giving awesome concerts. Some of that, they probably are just getting high off the audience. Like they're just seeing people screaming. And like, so every time you step on stage, it's like you're being showered with energy. That's the only thing I could think of that would like just keep you going. Because just playing the same song over and over and over, like you just don't want to.
Right.
Kat, do you play instruments and stuff?
Yes. I grew up playing the piano. I took piano lessons since I was 6, and so that's the main thing. I'm actually thinking of getting a harp, and I play a little guitar and bass and percussion. Yeah, like a little bit of all that stuff, but mainly piano is my main thing. I love Tori Amos. Always since high school, I've been a fan of hers. Not as much the newer stuff. Definitely the old stuff. I had all her piano books. I used to learn all her songs. Yep. And what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, the whole topic of this reminds me of also a concept that's in that trilogy. The concept is about this particular part happens when they're on Mars, which in the book is called Malacandra, is the word for Mars. And the main character, he's interacting with this sentient being on this planet, and they're talking about the concept of it's like remembering something as that would be like that would give the meaning to something. So basically, instead of experiencing that same thing over and over throughout life, just having experienced it maybe once, and then remembering that thing and the beauty of it. It's almost like the way they explained it is like eating this amazing dinner that you have, like eating it like 3 times a day every day. It's like, why do you need to keep doing the same thing? Like the remembrance of it should be like this, it's a concept that it's done way better than what I just said, because I'm kind of butchering it, but it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful, like, the way it comes out. It makes you think about things in a different way.
Like you appreciate it more when you're not just getting hit with it all the same thing, all the same. Yeah. Same thing with the clouds. Like sometimes, like sunshine, 12 months a year is not good. Need some clouds, need some rain. That's why everyone gets so excited when there's a hurricane. Like, oh my God, the sun might go behind some clouds for a while.
Yeah.
You don't get hurricanes where you're at. You're up in the mountains.
Yeah, we don't get those here. No, we don't
get floods, right?
So yeah, it floods sometimes. Supposedly there'll be like a tornado sometimes, but not like Michigan gets some tornadoes. Like that's, pretty serious. So not so much there. Yeah, we don't get earthquakes. We don't get any of that. It's pretty wonderful here.
That's kind of nice.
It is. Do you get that stuff up by you?
Up here in New England, it's minimal.
You guys can get hurricanes.
We can get hurricanes, and I think I was living in Florida when they got Hurricane Irene up here, which I think was really bad. But it's way less than a place like Florida or some of the islands in the southern areas. And then tornadoes, rare, but they can happen. Earthquakes, I think, extremely rare, but they can happen. So it's like those things can happen, but much less frequently than, say, down south or even out west.
Okay.
Fires and all that out west, like that kind of stuff doesn't really happen on a large scale.
Forest fires.
Oh, you do?
Last spring, yeah, I think people set them on purpose, trying to like clear the land. Like developers are like, oh, we want to put a village here. Like, let's, clear this land or whatever. Yeah, like last spring, it was like 2 months of you couldn't really see the sun. It kind of sucked. Or maybe it was the year. No, it was last year, and it smelled weird outside. Like it was a bummer, But they had them in like Canada was on fire last year too, right? Probably still is.
Oh yeah, I remember that, because even down where I'm at in Connecticut, we had effects for that for a while, and I was doing some landscaping work, and we were out working in it, and it was horrible. Just like you couldn't, the visibility was much less. The sun was blocked out by this haze, and then just whatever you're breathing in, it was not good. And that was all the way, I think whatever ways the winds were coming, it was all down in the New England area. We felt effects from that. But as far as having fires here, we don't typically have big fires right around here.
Okay, well, that's good. Yeah, we don't even really have mosquitoes. It's great.
Wow.
Yeah. Alice gets bit by mosquitoes. She'll come home with mosquitoes. I'm like, where are you even finding these things? I haven't been bitten by a mosquito here in like 2 years. And we went like out to the lake, like all kinds of stuff. But Andre's like that too. The mosquitoes go to him. So they just gravitate towards them. He's got one of those weird blood types that's like special, you guys. I don't know. I don't know which one it is. But Alice doesn't. She's O positive. Negative. Maybe, yeah. But yeah, like so I don't think it's the blood type, but it's something.
It's Neanderthal
There's
or
different
Anunnaki.
theories.
I'm not sure.
There's different theories about the mosquito thing. I remember reading about, I can't remember which B vitamin. If you're low in a certain B vitamin, then you are more attractive to, I don't know.
I could buy that.
Theory. I don't really know.
I'd buy that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's possible. I'd heard stress. And I thought maybe that was the case until I was around, like, Andre doesn't, he has his moments, he definitely has more stress now. But before, like, he never had any stress and they were all over him, and Alice, you know, so like I'm definitely the less stressed person now, but I'm also the most vitamin, like my vitamin levels are probably the best. So that could be it. I'd buy it. It smells something.
yeah.
It's not my imagination.
Yeah, also I think supposedly people that are eating a lot of sugars or like a very high carb diet, I think that is also it probably has to do with whatever hormones are, you know, like pheromones, things that we don't necessarily notice, but maybe a mosquito would notice.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or maybe it's all just made up. I really don't know, but it seems like it could make sense.
Yeah, that sounds fair. Speaking of, do you guys, okay, so like a couple weeks ago, was it Terrence, what's his name, you guys?
Terrence
What's
Howard?
his name? Yeah, he was on Joe Rogan. Did you guys watch
Yep.
that? Like the one, and
I
then
did.
like then the
You made
whole
me.
universe came out and was like, oh, he's crazy, he's dumb, he doesn't know what he's talking. When he was talking, like I knew exactly what he was trying to say. I 100% understood everything he was trying to say. And I think because him and Eric, it was like Eric or Brett Weinstein were on Joe Rogan just the other day, and like with Terrence, and they were kind of like regrouping and like trying to go through and see if they could break down what he was trying to say. I think he just has a language issue. Like he's using words in ways that academics don't like, and so but they're not like getting what he's trying to say. And he's definitely much more open-minded. There was a reason that why did I get on that topic, you guys? Help. What did we talk about? We were talking about mosquitoes, and then how did I get to that?
And Anunnaki and
blood types. I think the point I was trying to make maybe was that, like, first of all, nobody really knows anything about anything. We all, like, you know, people want you to believe that they do, but like we're all just trying to figure out. And I think that there's probably more to intuitive knowledge than anybody wants to give those people credit for. Because let's face it, in the spiritual community, there's a lot of nut jobs out there, right?
No.
So yes. So that kind of gives some of that, like, people with more open minds like that can give them like a bad name and make you just automatically think that they're nuts. But I think there's definitely much more to it, and we should probably listen to some of that intuition. And just in that guy's defense, since I'm on the topic, like I was just using that as an example. I think I don't agree with everything he said, for sure, but like I knew what he was trying to say. I think some of it was semantics. Kat, did you watch it?
No, I did not watch it, but I heard about it only because this channel I watch sometimes, Archaics, I think he did a video on it because I think he's very critical of some of the things that those people talk about. But I did not actually dive into it, so I'm kind of in the dark with it. But I'm just taking what you're saying. I may check it out.
It's interesting. Friar, you watched it. What do you think?
I watched the whole thing because you made me.
I didn't make you.
You totally did.
I 100% did not.
I have no free will.
Okay.
You made it happen. Yeah, I watched it, and some of the stuff I was like, well, that's interesting, but that seems to be someone else's idea. He's like, yeah, I got 30, 12, 1157 patents. And I'm like, okay, let's see those patents. And it's like, oh, it's a shape.
Oh, you looked him up?
No. I've just paid intense attention. I was like, I'm gonna sit here for 3 hours. I'm gonna do this.
You got to put it on twice the speed. I wouldn't have anybody, like, I couldn't watch it. That's not true. I watched one the other day. Oh, I watched the one with him and Eric Weinstein doing the recap. I had to slow that one down because he was trying to break everything down. But yeah, you just got to speed him up.
I'm a 1.5x person.
Okay, that's good. That's better.
Yeah. So, and he's like, yeah, I had this patent for this like virtual reality thing. And I'm like, okay, so when was that? 2010. That's cool. I know a guy that was doing literally what you're talking about in the early 90s. So some patent you got there. So I don't know. I 1 × 1 = 2. I'm like, oh dear, I'm
Yeah,
having
but
a
then,
problem.
but okay, but see, he wasn't, that's not what he meant. And he's saying it
I
that
see.
way, but that's not what he
Well,
meant. He meant that like nowhere in, if you have an action and you times another action, like nowhere in the universe does that not have an impact. Like it creates some sort of change. And so like that's why all of these like, and I know this from like just dealing with the Sumerian language, like the academic world is like they're Nazis. Like that is serious, you know, like you cannot deviate or else you are ostracized. Now, of course, like obviously in other fields, like it's like that everywhere. And that's like the whole basis of that book, Rupert Sheldrake's book, Science Set Free. It's like about, you know, this war between these people and like how science is the new religion, basically, and you can't question it. But I know what he was saying. Like I understood. He also says like nothing. So a lot of his math and his ideas are based on the concept of there's nothing stationary. There's not a single solitary stationary thing in the universe. And from like a mathematical perspective, like that's demonstrably false. But he's looking at it from like a quantum level, and that's not like they like math and quantum mechanics and physics, like they're not necessarily always on the same page. So I think part of his issue was he has a lot of interesting ideas. He just does not communicate in a way that is acceptable to that crowd. And I feel bad for the guy because he's got good ideas. I do not think that the sun is like 13 trillion years old or whatever he says. So that's one of the like big disagreements I had. And I was like, wait a second, what is he talking about? But it's interesting because that's what Patrick, I think, was talking about in one of the in the astrology course that we did, the group course. Link in the description, by the way. But he was talking about, oh no, was it him? It might not have been him, you guys. I don't know who it was now. But they were talking about somebody's idea, and it was along the same lines, how the sun is actually ejecting these planets very slowly over, and they're like slowly moving away from the sun. But if you do the math on that, it would mean that like the Earth.
Terrence Howard said that. Yeah.
That wasn't who he quoted. So somebody else has like resurrected this idea, I think, and expanded on it. I don't know for sure. Don't quote me on that. But that is not necessary. Like it's just not necessary. I 100%. Oh wait, that's my child. Oh, I have to go open the door.
Okay. Alrighty. Just as a reminder to the viewers, there is a course on Sumerian astrology. If you go to sumerianastrology.com, you can purchase the Sumerian astrology course, which Kat and I were involved in. And you could even see me. It'd be great. And I believe there's a discount code on the website. Can you confirm, Kat? Can you tell me?
If there's a discount code on the website, let's see. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
I think it's on the very front page.
What you guys looking at?
SumerianAstrology.com.
Oh no, what happened?
Let's see.
I'm plugging your stuff.
Oh, okay.
It's true. It's
true. There is a discount code. Okay.
On what?
Yeah. On your front page.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there is for sure. I throw discounts everywhere. What was I saying, you guys? Oh, so I'm more on like that, the whole concept of planets. Well, I don't know that it's his idea, but he definitely is the one who really made it, well, I can't say popular, but he put it out there. Velikovsky with the planets ejecting material like Venus and Mercury, which would definitely explain some things, and basically how like the planets move around much more in the solar system than anybody wants to. Not currently, like they're not moving around, but if like a big enough body comes along and perturbs the orbits, it would definitely throw them off. So it would explain the weird craters on the moon. And there's even some on the Earth that it would explain. So when an asteroid impact or a meteor impacts, some celestial body impacts another one, it leaves a very specific type of crater where like you have the ejecta moving out and forward. Well, a lot of the craters on the moon, they're like perfect circles, and they can't like geologically, like nobody can account for these things unless there was if it's an electrical discharge, which they can duplicate these or like recreate this in a lab through like plasma discharge. And there's lots of videos on it, like the Thunderbolts Project, like their YouTube channel. You can find a lot on their website. They have the newsletter and stuff. They have like, there's so much evidence that big giant like gouge out of the side of Mars. Nobody can explain this thing. But the way that it's shaped looks just like a plasma discharge. Like the plasma discharge is in a very specific way, to where it creates kind of like these little swirls on the ends. I don't know, you guys got to look it up because I'm butchering it, but so I do think, and it goes with what all of like the Mesopotamian record says the exact same thing. Like they all do. They all talk about, all these ancient cultures talk about the gods warring in the sky and throwing lightning bolts at each other. Like they saw something. I'm not saying they saw it 3,000 to 6,000 years ago. They probably saw it like hundreds of thousands of years ago, right? For all we know, it's like some ancestral memory. We're like let me try again. Anatomically, basically the same as we were, a few million years ago. Well, not exactly, but it's pretty close. Like we could definitely pass some of that information down, but I don't know. So some of the stuff he was saying, I can see where what he's trying to say without getting upset about it. But yeah, Terrence really made some people mad.
He did. And I watched Neil deGrasse Tyson he actually did a video where he was like, okay, fine, I'll respond. And basically he just said, in a nutshell, he said, I critiqued your paper the way I would critique a colleague's paper. And you didn't like it.
I don't think that he did. I disagree with that. I just don't feel it. He seems very, and I don't know him, so I'm speculating. He definitely kind of seems like what's the word, you guys? Kind of like a dick. I don't know. That's I don't know.
He is less abrasive and arrogant than he used to be.
Is he?
Yes, he used to be ghastly. It was like peeling the paint off the walls, man. It was amazing. So he's actually mellowed out quite a lot. I watched that video, and what I'm saying is that's his claim. His claim is that I just gave you the full-on academic treatment and you didn't like it. I'm like, no, okay. Now, am I fond of academia in its current state? No.
Nobody, I don't think anybody is. You can't be.
Well, there's certainly plenty who are. People who are just all about it. YouTube's full of them. I'm sure TikTok is too. Ooh, TikTok academia. The paragon of truth.
Do you guys have TikTok accounts?
No. Yeah. I was like, no, I just this isn't. I'm more fond of long form, which me and TikTok obviously are not that compatible. But also the things I like when I do see TikTok stuff, it's usually someone importing stuff onto YouTube going, look, get a hold of this. And I'm like, oh no, that's terrible. So I don't feel like adding yet another. I've got YouTube, I got Instagram. That is enough chicanery and BS for 10 lifetimes at this point. So
I could never get into Instagram. I just couldn't figure it out. I'm like, so I just look at people's pictures. I was like, this isn't fun. I just couldn't get it. I didn't get it.
Now it's a lot more videos. Also, the memes are to die for. So yeah, I'm all about it.
It seemed like there were, and I don't know. I seemed like I got a lot of like pervy accounts, like trying to like either talk to me or like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how it works. I was seeing like really gross stuff on my feed. Twitter was like that too. Well, Twitter was more like people were sending me messages, like I'd be like, oh, someone wants to be my friend, and it's somebody's like it's porn. They're sending you like porn.
Yeah.
Like what are we looking at here?
I got a lot of Eastern European ladies who were terribly interested in me.
Yeah, trying to
somehow.
get you to go to their link or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, a
I
lot of
was just
that
the answer
too.
to their prayers. It was amazing.
Twitter now, so it seems like now I'm okay, so let me just preface this like I enjoy a good debate, as you guys probably know,
Yes,
right? Like a
yes.
nice, healthy, friendly debate. I even like when people send me mean messages and hate mail because it's fun to reply with just love and compassion. It really pisses them off. They get so worked up about it. They don't, they don't know. If you just really, really, really want to make somebody mad, tell them that you'll pray for them and just end it with that and just don't talk to them anymore. They really get upset. But what I have found is that Twitter, like, it just attracts people who are pissed off and want to fight. That's it. Like, they just want to fight with each other all the time.
Yeah.
And like, I just don't get that. Like, it's good to have, I think it's good to respond to people online sometimes, like once, like one or two, like let's just pop a little messages in here, just friendly and kind of plant some seeds because you can, despite what anybody wants to tell you, with some exceptions. Yes, there's some psychos out there who will just never, they're mentally ill and they'll never be able to open their mind to anything that you have to say. But a lot of times some stuff that you start that seed, it makes them think, and so I think it's okay to have a little bit of conversation online, but to just totally, that's your whole life is just watching people have Twitter fights and Twitter battles and
No.
arguments, and that doesn't seem like fun. I did recently get a Substack and
Ah,
like a month ago, and I like it. They have a thing on there. It's kind of like Twitter. But I imagine most of the people, it's notes is what they called it, which they could have come up with a better name. Um, it's basically like Twitter. I thought though it was like the people who are writing. I don't know if it is or not. It seems like people who read and write on Substack, right? Like they create, which by the way,
mhm.
Friar, they do podcasts. I don't know if that's something you can syndicate from there, but they do have that function now.
Okay.
And their algorithm pushes everything, so you don't really I don't think their SEO works. I think they push your stuff for you, so and it just builds over time. And you can monetize it. Where am I going? I'm derailing you guys. Oh, but I got on their notes to like check it out, and it's all Twitter battles. It's the same thing, just on a different
Oh,
platform.
great.
Yeah. So there's probably other stuff, but for some reason I think because I follow like a lot of political commentators and stuff. Because you have to, because they don't have platforms everywhere. There's certain people that like you can't find them anywhere else. That's probably maybe what ends up in my feed more so than others. So it could just be that, like you know, some sort of algorithm bias or whatever. Kat, you have a Substack too. Do you write on there? I saw like a
Yes.
few, but I didn't know if you were still doing it.
Yeah, I just started it up more, so every couple of weeks I'm putting something out. I just did one I don't want to say 2 weeks ago. It was a recipe for the carnivore tortillas that I really like a lot.
I think
It's
I
like
saw that one.
it's good. The one I'm writing now, I should be putting it out by tomorrow or Friday morning, is going to be all about electrolytes. But yeah, I try to write a little newsletter article sort of thing every couple of weeks. I just started that up more recently because I want to be more regular about it. But I like it, and you can link it like basically I'm using that instead of a blog right now. So it's like, I have a link on my website to subscribe. So that would be like my newsletter, but you can also go to the website and see my page on there. I'm liking it so far. It's limited in some ways depending on how fancy of a design you want to have on there, or maybe if you knew code, you could plug some things in. But it's nice enough. I feel like it's nice enough interface for people to read articles and stuff like that. And I do know they do have a podcast feature and they have some other things. I just haven't gone into all of that yet, but it's easy to work with and I do like it.
Yeah, I agree.
Am I Did I know that you have one? Did you just recently got
No,
one?
I just did it like a month or two ago. Basically,
And
I put
to make sure
so
I
much
subscribe.
I put so much effort into my articles and stuff. I'm like, I know this is morbid, but I'm like, if I die, like my website goes away as soon as my credit card, stops running, which means I have like two options. I can either buy a 20-year hosting plan and just hope my site doesn't break during that period, right? Which is not going to happen. At some point, WordPress has to get an update. You got to remove a plugin. Like there's goofy stuff you got to do on the back end. So I'm like, well, I want a free site just to post my articles on, just to have them out there in the ether. Not that Google knows how to send your, like all the search engines suck now. Like they're terrible. They send you to Quora or they send you to Reddit or one of their, YouTube videos.
Yep.
Oh, they're getting worse and worse. I noticed, like I haven't used Google in a long time, but I've been using Brave and Firefox, whatever, alternative, DuckDuckGo.
Yeah.
And even just I was doing some basic nutrition search. It was specifically about cholesterol and how it's made in the liver. There was a couple of details that I was really looking for. And it is all nonsense. You can't find, I was like, okay, let me just go to Google and see if there's anything there, and scroll to like, the 20th page, and still it's horrible information. A lot of it I think is actually just false. But even beyond that, it's just people repeating the same things. There's not a lot of good, just good detailed information. It's like a lot of opinion stuff, a lot of like people copying other people on scientific articles. It's just not, I just was really unimpressed, and I don't think it used to be quite this bad.
No, it's as bad as it's ever been. Now, a lot of what's out there, if Google even can find what you're looking for, or Bing or whatever, it's all AI generated. Like they've made it so easy to create just junk with AI.
And you can tell sometimes, like, this sentence is a little off. Like, I don't think this was real.
Yeah, a robot wrote it.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
I think reality's breaking down a bit in general. At least I've noticed that in my own life. It's a little strange.
I would agree with that. I would agree.
But, oh well.
Maybe it's a plan to flood the internet with total garbage so the signal to noise ratio super sucks, and then nobody can do their own research.
Well, that's that whole like dead internet theory where people are like even people's websites, like if you go to them, like they don't update links, and so like all the information, just like I said, if I die, my website goes away, not immediately. You know what I mean? So like anything that I put out there is gone. A lot of people have died since the 90s when people started, making websites en masse. So like it's going away.
Yeah,
and
it's
then,
like if you don't have someone to take that over for you, like some people do, I've noticed. Like can't remember the guy's name, but he died just this past year, and I think a loved one of his stepped in and was just going to kind of like keep the website alive so that it's still viable. But if you don't have that put in place, then it's just going to become outdated.
Yes. So I got a WordPress site, like a free one, like WordPress.com. So it's like SumerianAstrology.wordpress.com. Don't go into it because it's not up, like it's not usable at this point. I just got it. And I started working on it. And then like within seconds, they're like, oh, your site has been shut down. You have to contact the administrator. On a WordPress site, like that's never had, like I've built websites, I've had companies that build entire websites, never had an issue. So they were able to bring it back up. But in that time, I'm like, look, if you guys don't figure this out, like I'm just going to go publish my stuff on Substack because I don't want to have to ever deal with this. So the whole point of getting this website was to not have to worry about it being breaking.
Right.
So they did fix it, but not before I got all the Substack stuff figured out, which I do like. I don't know. I've not yet seen a Google search end up at Substack, but it is kind of still new.
Yeah.
They're still sending stuff to Quora, which nobody uses. And Reddit, which a lot of people don't know how to use. It's blocked in a lot of countries. Like, and the people on Reddit are just as dumb as everybody else, right? Like, these are not our experts.
Right.
Like, this is not good information.
And they're also really, really clubby. Like, you have to get in with the Reddit crowd, Yeah. Great.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Substack is not really going to pop up much on the main on these search engines. You just have to follow a link to,
yeah,
you know
probably.
what I mean? Like, I just
Same
think
thing,
that's kind of how
websites.
it's going to be.
Personal and business websites are the same way. You can't rely on SEO no matter what you do anymore. Like, I mean, if you're like a local, business, like you're a plumber or something, like you can probably get found in local search, but even then, like you're going to be found in directories. People aren't just going to your website, which is why anybody out there, any entrepreneurs, don't worry too much about your website. Like it's still cool to have and it's a good thing, but it's basically a glorified business card. And unless you have a blog, like nobody cares. Like nobody, they maybe want to see that you're a legitimate person. But other than that, like, you just don't really need, I mean, if you have a bigger business, obviously, but just for like, solopreneurs or whatever, don't worry about it too much right away.
There's also locals, right? That's another one of the platforms.
Yeah, I got a locals. It's okay. But I just wasn't posting. I don't care enough about social media. Like I just don't, it's so much work, like to have to just to reload my videos or re-upload my videos to Rumble. I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this. Like I already put so much work into editing this one video. It took me 2 hours to record, 2 days to edit, and I finally got it. Like I don't want to take another 20 minutes to upload the same stuff to Rumble that nobody's gonna watch. Like Rumble's great for political stuff, but nobody up down there cares about what I got going on. Like they don't.
I think that's where YouTube is really just like better than, I mean, it's an easy interface. Everyone's on YouTube all the time.
Yeah.
If you can have a YouTube and not get kicked off, and I think all of us are probably okay with that kind of stuff, then I just feel like that's one of the easiest ways to interact with people on the internet. Even though it's owned by Google and there's its own issues, I still think it's a good platform.
It is for sure. It is. Go ahead.
I thought that, I don't know if it's Rumble, one of the major alternative video platforms lets you upload to YouTube and to, I'm just gonna say Rumble at the same time, meaning like you can set your shit up to where if you upload to YouTube, it automatically uploads to Rumble. I don't know if it's Rumble, but
there's also Odyssey, I think, or at least there used to be.
Yeah.
And
I know that one of the channels does in fact operate that way because I've heard people talk about it.
Well, that would be great. It might be if you live stream on Rumble, it'll let you like live stream to YouTube too. I don't know. Because again, like, I just don't.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't do the social media thing either, really. I really just trying to not just see how it goes without it and see what happens. I mean, maybe YouTube, I do want to start doing some videos. I just have to sit down and do it. Probably more in the winter because summer just seems so busy between gardening and doing all different kinds of things. But yeah, I just think that some of these other things can be a time suck, and it depends if you're really, if you're really good at it, or you really, you can make it maybe streamlined or quick, or okay, I'm going to go on and do a quick post and it's not going to take up much time. But for me, I feel like it would take up more time than is worth. Maybe even just mentally, I don't want to focus on it much.
Yeah, you guys, I'm really struggling to just summon the will to edit a single video. Like, I just hate editing so bad. I hate it. Well,
that's why the live streams are probably good, right? You don't have to edit this at all. It is what it is.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. You might have been not on at that point. I don't know. But like in the fall, when it starts cooling off and the sun goes down a lot earlier, I am going to force myself to do like daily live streams at the same time every day. It will suck. I'm not excited about it yet, but I need to do it because there's no reason not to. I have the time, you guys, like it's, and it will push me out of my comfort zone. I'm sure someone will find some value in it. The only thing is though, I do like having the little clips of better, like longer video, like that's okay. But I just really hate editing. And I made a decision when so anybody out there watching this video, I made a decision like a year and a half, 2 years ago that I was not going to go back to the old way of doing business. I was going to start over, totally fresh, new mailing list, new audience, new everything. And I wasn't gonna hire like no employees, no editors, no staff, no virtual assistants, none of that stuff, right? Because I've run business, and that's what was causing all my stress issues and like just made my health horrible. So I'm like, no, I'm gonna try this, just me. We're gonna see what happens, you know. So far it's going good and everything, so I can't complain. But
Okay.
like, I don't want to hire an editor. I don't want to have to deal with that. Some of that's me being a control freak too, because like they're not going to make it how I want it. They'd probably make it look way better, but like they don't know what content actually needs to go in. They don't know if I'm rambling like I'm doing now and I'm just saying nonsense words for like 20 minutes or 2 hours. Like they don't know. So I would still end up having to do a lot of work. But so long story short, I am going to do the live streams and just hope for the best and hope people actually can find them. So like when you cut one of the smaller videos, you can put like very specific keywords and titles in there so that people can find it later, and it makes it, you know, put it like a nice thumbnail and they'll be able to find it. I don't know about if that works with the live streams. I just don't know. So I'm going to have to figure it out as I go.
Well, didn't you, with the last live stream, you did cut a little portion from the beginning that was showing what was going on. I thought that was a really good idea. Like, even if you had the idea for like your live streams in the fall, like if you spent the first few minutes on something that you would want to be kind of clipped and put into its own little thing, you could kind of tailor it like that. So you're not sitting there editing the whole thing, but you're taking that first bit and chopping it. Does that make sense? Or
it makes such perfect sense. And actually I thought about doing that. Like that was the plan. I was going to chop stuff up. And just like put useful tidbits out there. And I may still, but just right now, I just don't have any desire. Like none whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it could, but it could just
wait
be a
for the
seasonal
inspiration
thing.
to come.
Yes, I'm just gonna if it's supposed to happen, it'll happen, and I'll just chill out and go worry about it.
But don't, you know, I would be careful not to cast any spells here that's saying that it's gonna suck when you do live streams. It might not.
That's true. You're right. I can't argue that point. That's very true. But based on my my previous experiences with it, because I took them all down. I hated them. I was doing daily live streams, just same thing that I plan on doing, although it's going to be a little bit different. Because I'm not going to try quite as hard. I think that's a big part too. Like I want to make sure, like, you know, your time is valuable, whoever's watching this. And so I just don't want to waste someone's time with me fidgeting. Okay, so even when I do recorded readings for people, like I feel bad sending them dead air where it's me flipping through the screen. So I'll stop and I'll edit that stuff out, and I end up like putting way too much work in it. But that goes from, you know, like I just appreciate people's time. And again, I watch YouTube videos at 2 times the speed, pretty much regardless of what it's about. So like my time's valuable, your time's valuable, and I just don't want to waste anybody's time.
But yeah, but for that, like you send links through YouTube, like a private YouTube video for that, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's so easy to just hit the little button to skip ahead 10, 20 seconds. I don't know. I guess, you know, you could make yourself crazy.
And I did, which is why I don't do recorded readings anymore. I did get talked into doing one. I'm doing one probably this coming up week, but I'm not going to edit it. They're aware that I am not going to be editing. So it could have a lot of dead space in it. I don't know. It's possible.
I've had several readings with you, and the amount of dead space is it's minimal.
That's because you're
and
on
it's
the
actually
call.
Kind of nice because, but okay, no, I rewatched them. Oh wait. You mean like when you're just doing someone's and they're not there?
Yes, because while you're there, while I'm switching through the screens, I can be like, you know, I'll ask you, I'll keep you talking just to make sure that like there's no dead air.
Right.
It makes a difference.
Those could be little pockets of space for someone to contemplate what you just said. They can think about it while you're flipping to the next area. I don't know. I guess I'm just gonna stop. You're
doing a great job. I appreciate all of the encouragement. And you're not wrong about any of it. You're definitely not wrong. Going back to the social media thing though. So again, for anybody watching this later and you're trying to get your business going or whatever. So like take whatever social platforms you actually like to use, those are the ones you should probably focus on. Like, don't try to, go where your demographic is. I mean, that's good advice if you're Coca-Cola or Nike or something. You should find your demographic. But like, if you are going to hate a social platform, like, just don't even bother. So like, Friar, you like Instagram, apparently there's memes, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
like
like that would
Instagram
be,
and YouTube.
yeah, so those would be good places for you. I am liking Substack, just generally, like it
Okay.
feels, I don't know, I like it. It's got a good vibe to it.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'll continue to post stuff. I really like it too because, from what Kat said, like you can't even change the color of the text, which is good for someone like me because I'm always trying to like make it look like format it to make it look way too pretty, and I spend way too much time on it. I waste so much time. So it's good. Yeah, so it's definitely good to just like, nope, it's got to be thrown up there and whatever sticks, that's it.
Yeah. One of the reasons I like Instagram actually is because it does a thing that YouTube does not. So in some ways it sort of makes a complete protein, if you will. It's like the rice and beans, YouTube and Instagram. And that is, Instagram has messaging. You can do private messaging. And you can't do that on YouTube. You used to be able to, but you cannot.
Really? I don't remember that. But I
That was a
believe you.
long time ago.
Oh,
But yeah,
okay.
you could, they did have a messaging feature and then that got nerfed. And so Instagram
You can do that
completes.
on Substack, I believe.
Yes. Yes, you
Can you?
can.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. I like it. I hope it gets bigger. I just know like a lot of independent media voices are on there, which means that at some point, if it gets big enough, somebody's going to come for it and try to shut it down. Like,
Right.
what was the one that they shut down? Parlor. They shut
Yeah.
that down.
There's a lot of fringy type stuff, things that are not as easily accepted. Things like the people I follow on Substack are typically people that are saying things that a lot of people don't really want to hear, or as far like they're going into topics that are very controversial, not necessarily in like an offensive way, but people can find ways to take offense to everything. But I just feel like it's some of the more fringe stuff, at least, is the stuff that I find on there, like some of like Rumble or BitChute or some of those things. It's like stuff that a lot of times on YouTube would be flagged for going against their rules or something. So I don't know who owns Substack, or if it's just like people that wanted to make an alternative platform. I don't really know the history behind that.
Yeah, I don't know either. I just know a lot of the people who get demonetized on YouTube and stuff,
Right.
they go there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love fringe stuff. I'm a fringe fan. And in part just because it stimulates thinking. It's not like I just consume it and go, everything you say is correct. I just like, God, that's a weird way to look at it. Let me think about that for a while. And it stirs things up instead of just being like the same old, same old. Like I love thinking about Velikovsky stuff. I don't necessarily think much of it's right, but I'm just like, wow, that's a totally totally new, crazy way to look at it. What does that lead me to? And so sometimes these things like the 1% or 2% or 25% that I think they might have a handle on, sometimes I can sort of string those things together from various different fringy ideas and be like, wow, this is like a whole other way of looking at things.
Yeah, which is why I feel bad for that Terrence guy, because like you guys are just dismissing him outright because he's not using the terms in the way that you want him to use them. And like he was talking about supersymmetry, which was not what he thought it was. But I knew what he was trying to say. Like it's
Yeah.
good to hear other ideas, even if they're wrong, because it makes you think. But that's
Okay, so
not...
my problem with Terrence Howard, I'll just say it right here and right now. It seemed very ego driven. Like he was all about like, it's me, Terrence Howard, and these are my ideas. And also, I'm Terrence Howard, and I patented shapes because I'm Terrence Howard, and also Terrence Howard. And I'm like, you know what, man? I'm
There's
not so sure you're into this idea so much as self-promotion
there's
right now.
definitely some ego into it. You can hear. I don't think it was I don't think that's his own. I really think he thinks he has like changed science. So he's excited about it. But there's a little ego stuff in there, but some of that too, based on like what he talked about his backstory. Like he's like fighting against people really upset him, or he was going through like a dark time in his life. And so I think that he is really assertive with his ideas because he's trying to show like, look, I'm not worthless, or I think there's some of that too, some insecurity, I think.
Yeah, definitely working some stuff out. And then again, aren't we all?
Yeah, everybody, all the time.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm not as hyped about it as some people. Also because I've been exposed to the Walter Russell stuff for a long time. I was like, oh, Walter Russell again, yet again. All right, but I mean, all right. So how about this? There were some people who had no idea what the Walter Russell stuff was all about until that interview. So
That's right. That's right.
That's me putting some sunshine on it. Like
I tried reading his books, and I don't know if it's just because they're really old, but I had a hard time.
They are not, yeah,
How old
easily.
are they? Like, seems like, it seems like old.
I think he was a contemporary of Nikola Tesla, so they're kind of old.
So like 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. What are you thinking?
So, yeah.
My
Well,
my dates are, my numbers are not. You guys know my numbers
probably
don't
look
work
it
for
up.
my brain. It's probably not. It's not worth it. I read the most oh God, the most recent piece of classical literature I read was Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Okay.
I got, so like what, late 1800s, right? Oh, it is so boring and makes no sense. Like I can't, like I just am like, this does not make nothing you're saying makes any sense. And I noticed that with all classical literature. So we had, in school we got to read Little Women and what else, like Huckleberry Finn, like all this I can help you guys. What are some of the other goofy books you have to, like, they force you to read?
Oh,
All the
Moby
classical
Dick.
literature. It's so tedious. It is like just so boring. And I don't know if it's because I grew up watching, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and go ahead, insert your impression. There you go.
Get out of there.
Right. And like, Jean-Claude Van Damme and stuff. So I like grew up with violence. And so maybe I just am not, my brain's just not wired to read that stuff. I don't know how anybody does it. I had like all these books on my list of things to do. Like what was the one that I started? War and Peace. I started reading War and Peace because, like Russia, and everyone's like classical, like you have to, like you're Russian now, you have to read this. And I'm like, this is a soap opera from like the 1800s. I don't want to read this. I don't like soap operas, right? Like who wants, like this is horrible. Yeah, so kudos to anybody out there who can do that stuff. I have nothing but respect and admiration for you, but man, I just couldn't. I don't know how people do it. So yeah, so Walter Russell along the same lines, like just too old, just the way it's written, I don't know, like I just couldn't. I just can't get behind, it's like too.
So he had his epiphany apparently in 1921,
Okay.
and that's when he started to write his special books. So, yeah, he as a lot of these people who write these sort of things do, they feel like they had kind of a mystic experience or encounter, and then their brain is changed, and then they have to share their stuff with the world.
Was he
So,
like, eating the mushrooms, like, Aldous
no,
Huxley and, those other people back then were all on like LSD. Did you guys know that Sigmund Freud was like coked out of his mind?
yes,
Like all the time.
oh yeah,
That's why his brain was always on, because it was
oh,
all the
Weird
coke.
shit.
a good
Yeah.
cigar, a good cigar.
Yeah. Yeah. And in order to
Yeah.
get off the coke, they started taking heroin, him and like his brother or something. I don't know. It's crazy. Crazy.
Oh
On
yeah.
that note, I don't mean to interrupt, but I gotta jump off.
Okay. Okay.
So I'll see you all on the next one.
Okay. We'll be here. Have fun.
Yeah, and check out that trilogy. I put
Yeah,
the
I
link in
will
the
for
chat.
sure.
Let
I
me we can
will.
talk about it sometime.
Okay,
All
sounds
right.
good.
Take
All right.
care, both of
See you
you.
later.
Talk to you
Yep.
soon. Bye.
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 Yep. So, I'm glad she clarified that that wasn't why, she wasn't fiending and that's why she had to jump off real quick. Just like,
Well,
oh, that reminds me. It's that time of day. I get my
yes.
fix.
Good segue.
Yeah.
Good segue. Yeah. Who was I cannot think of the author's name, which makes me somewhat embarrassed, but is the guy who wrote Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep and The
Oh, I
Man in
don't
the High
know.
Tower, The Man in the High Castle.
I don't know.
Oh, I can't think of oh. But he's one of those people that got quote unquote activated. Like something happened and like he was like a Christian. This girl was going door to door, proselytizing for her church, and she had a Christian fishy necklace on, and the it shined in his like the light shined off of it in his eyes in a certain way, and suddenly he like had all these crazy past life remembrances of being a Gnostic Christian and being persecuted.
Oh,
And Philip K. Dick, that's the guy.
okay.
So and then he believed that he was being fed information into his brain by a pink laser. Um, so yeah, a lot of these authors that have wacky doodle information, and I mean that
In
in
a
a
nice
nice
way.
way.
Yes, I know what
Yeah,
you meant. It was a
you know,
compliment.
yeah. They almost all of them claim to be given the information, right, as opposed to generating the information. Tesla was the same way.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
A bunch of them, a whole bunch of them. I mean, even Rene Descartes, who was the paragon of rational thinking, the reason that he pursued his line of thinking was because he was visited by an angel in a dream. Like,
Did you know that guy vivisected dogs?
I did not. That doesn't surprise
Yeah,
me.
they don't talk about that. They definitely don't. Yeah, that's some messed up stuff. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, vivisection is not cool. Do not look it up, children,
But like
with the
he's like
Google.
he Descartes, that's like, he's like one of the guys. Like how come they never tell you about that?
Yeah, well, he was a soldier. Like they don't they it's like anything else. Like Isaac Newton, he cared more about alchemy than anything else.
Yeah, a
And
lot of them did.
his Kabbalistic writings are in a museum in Israel because no one here is interested. His mathematics was really secondary to his esoteric studies, but you just don't hear about it. It's
That's a lot of them are like that. Yeah,
yeah,
they if it doesn't fit the narrative, they got to get rid of it.
yeah, like he's such a rational scientist. We have
Yeah.
such or Giordano Bruno. Ooh, that's one of Neil deGrasse Tyson's heroes of great science. And I'm like, is this the same Giordano Bruno that wrote books about ceremonial magic? I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. The guy that came up with the universal hexagram that Crowley used? I think it is. Same dude. But no, he's a great hero of science,
Yeah,
apparently.
that's like the guy, the NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory guy, or no,
Jack
not Jet Propulsion.
Parsons?
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
he was a big fat Thelemite.
Yeah.
I
Like
mean, like for
like
reals.
and like people knew about, like, he wasn't hiding any of it. I don't think. Seemed like
No,
he
I don't think he
wasn't.
was. Well, there was like this conclave of people like L. Ron Hubbard and Jack Parsons and like a bunch of esoteric folks that sort of hung out for a while, and I wanted like in San Francisco, I think it was, and then they all split up, and Ron Hubbard ended up doing Scientology, and Jack Parsons ended up doing whatever he was doing, and there was a few others that I cannot recall, but yeah, it was a weird occult conclave, and people just don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you
Everywhere.
know,
But hey, you know what? They had some good, well, not Elron, but the, Jet Propulsion guy, he had some good ideas. Can't
yeah,
really argue with that.
it's funny you mentioned Jack Parsons because I was thinking about him before this live stream because just thinking about the current times, and I won't elaborate, but how Jack Parsons was in a like a rocketry club, like this international rocketry club before World War II, and he was like correspondence buddies with Werner von Braun. And then as you know, the war drums kept beating, suddenly he was disinclined to talk to Werner von Braun, not because he didn't want to talk to him, but because authorities were like, you can't talk to this guy anymore.
Right. Right.
So, and not that Werner von Braun ended up being the greatest guy in the world,
Right.
far and away.
Right.
I mean, when you're in the SS, it's bad luck, but uh, still, it's
yeah, that's a nice way to put it. It's a bad look.
it's bad luck, guys. You know, snappy costumes, but you're behaving badly. The I just wonder what the future portends in that regard with other international communications.
As far as
Like, hey, I talk to people in other parts of the world that I like to talk to, and then events unfold, and it's like, oh, you're not allowed
I'm
to
not
talk
a
to those
Russian
people
spy.
anymore. I
know,
know.
like, I'm not the only, unless you need like a wicked borscht recipe, like, there's not a lot of info that I'm going to provide, either way, back and forth. So,
I
my
need that
family,
many.
like had this thing, like they thought that's what was going on for a while. I'm like, do you understand how silly that is? My Russian sucks so bad. So, to get my citizenship, I had to go talk to the FSB. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And they're like, so have you ever gone to like CIA headquarters or the FBI headquarters? I'm like, is that a serious question? And by the way, the FSB does not take well to humor.
No.
So they're like, yes, it is. And I'm like, no, I like went to the park with my grandma. She's like in her 90s, like we sat at the park, like, like what's going on here? But my family did the same thing. They're like, what's going on? Like, why is she over there? Like, I have a child. Like, I'm not, if I was some sort of super spy, I definitely would not have married Andre. I'd have married someone maybe like with a business or in,
In
like
government or
something,
something.
right?
Yeah.
And plus my Russian sucks way too bad. Like I'm not good enough for all that. So
Well, I promise you that was not an insinuation or accusation
okay.
at all. It was more like thinking about the interruption of international relations because of the outbreak of war.
At
That's all.
some point, they're already doing that stuff. They pulled Scott Ritter's passport from him when he was already like went through border patrol. Like he was already on the plane getting ready to fly, and they stopped the plane and they came to like they if they think that you have a voice that they you have some influence, they'll do whatever they have to do to shut it down. But probably your average person's people's people like you and I, we should be safe, but you just never know, man. Talking about like the Nazis and
Nasties.
yeah, and how like I remember going my whole life wondering like how could those people just let this stuff happen? And then I'm watching it. Like we're all
Yeah,
watching
and now
this
you know.
unfold. This is exactly how it happens. As it turns out, humans are extremely easy to manipulate and
Yeah.
control and to basically accept whatever just madness and horrific thing that you can think of. Like you can get people to go along with that in a giant group, in like a whole nation, a whole
Mhm.
civilization.
Yeah,
So it's very it's sad, but that's why it's good to have conversations with people and
I agree.
you know,
And
yeah.
and you're right. The human psyche has known exploits, right? Known vulnerabilities, and they're just depressingly predictable to use and activate. And it's like, yeah, we're just gonna see this over and over and over. Oakley dokley.
Yeah. And I don't think aliens are gonna step in and save us. I don't think so. I think they're
You,
going to let
you mean
us blow ourselves up.
the Anunnaki are not going to return to Earth on Planet X?
Well,
I heard that on TikTok.
you did.
Yeah,
Probably not.
probably not.
You know, but I mean, I guess it's possible. I guess it's possible.
No, sure. Yeah,
I gotta
yeah.
be careful because I'd probably alienate a lot of my audience, my 200 people that watch my videos. Probably alienate
Yeah.
a lot of people if I
Cut,
tell them what I
cut
thought
your
about the
audience.
Anunnaki. Yes.
Yeah, cut your audience in half.
Yes.
Yeah, boy howdy. I could definitely alienate vast sums of people if I was to really uh share my innermost thoughts about some things, but
Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's better to just alienate the people because they're not your people, right? Like if there's somebody who's going to get
right.
upset. This one guy commented on my YouTube channel for like a couple of days. He was like asking questions and stuff. And then I made that video about what was it about? Oh, I said something about like you can take the kids take their guns, their pellet guns to the school and like do target
Right.
practice out on the football field. You couldn't do that in America for obvious reasons, right? So I said something about like like you can have guns in Russia. It's definitely like a free country. Just people don't realize it. He got really mad. I think he was really like he hated Putin or something. I don't know why. I don't know what Putin
Okay.
did to
Yeah.
him. He probably, just heard he was like bad or something.
It's what the news
And
did to him.
yeah, yeah. And then like he got like really pissed off and said really mean things and alienated. And I felt bad, because I don't get those people very often anymore. Except for my videos where I talked about like why you should probably eat meat. A lot of people, like most people, don't get mad at me. They call me silly goose once in a while in a comment, but
Oh,
other
you
than that,
silly goose.
yes, because of the site, the tropical astrology thing. Um, but other than that, like, so I don't get a whole lot of that, but like, I felt bad. I'm like, was there something that for like 5 minutes, was there something I could have done? Maybe I should have said it in a way that was less, abrasive, and I'm like, you know what? No, because if this guy's going to freak out at this, he was going to freak out at something else later on. So it's
Of
better to
course.
just alienate the people who aren't going to like you anyways and just, take a stand on something. So
Yeah.
to an extent, I mean, I don't inject any of my political stuff into any of my like it has nothing to do with I don't talk about it because it is very divisive for most people. And like it doesn't affect how I interact with clients, Like I have some very strong spiritual beliefs about certain things and my clients would never know because it doesn't matter. Like I will give
Yeah.
them unbiased information.
Well, that's professionalism, isn't it?
I would well, yes, but I guess it's not common anymore.
No. Right. Well, everyone's got to raise their flag for the latest thing. So
I had to be very careful. When the war first kicked off between Russia and Ukraine, oh, people were pissed at me. Like I personally ordered
oh, gee whiz.
yeah, like that was me and Putin got together and we were like, hey, we're gonna do this. Let's roll. And so like people didn't talk to me. My brother didn't talk to me for like a long time.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you're bad.
Yes. As a matter of fact, my stepdad, real quick story, because you love when people talk because you're into compassionate listening.
I do. It's true.
I was visiting in America. This was before the war. And my stepdad, who is not a happy guy, like abusive childhood, like it was not a good situation.
Yep.
But I'm like, I'm in a good place. I'm like, no, I'm gonna offer the olive branch and I'm gonna just see if he wants to like go to lunch, because I haven't seen him in like 15 years or something. And I'm here, like I might as well visit. So I sent him a message. I'm like, hey, do you want to go get lunch or whatever at this whatever place? And he didn't respond, which I thought was weird. So like 3 days later, it took this guy 3 days to come up with a response to, do you want to have lunch?
Wow.
He's like, I really don't think that's a good idea because I'm not going to have, because he knew I wanted my citizenship. My little brother told him I was trying to get Russian citizenship.
Right.
He's like, I really don't think, based on, everything that you're doing that I'm going to have anything nice to say. So I really don't think it's a good idea. And I like wanted to like burst into tears and I had to I was driving when I got this message. I had to stop and pull over and I'm like, nope, No. I'm like, I'm not, I've done sales and stuff. I'm like, no, I'm not, I'm going to assume the sale. I'm not taking no for an answer. So I sent him a message. I wanted to be like, this is insane. You're like, why are you doing this? Like, this has nothing to do with me or anything. Like, you have no idea why I want citizenship. You don't know anything about Russia. Like, you don't know, like,
Yeah.
So, I sent him a message. I'm like, wrong answer. Like, how about we meet? Let's meet Wednesday at this place at this time. And he never said anything back.
Wow.
So yeah, so that's just one example of like people lost their minds with no information. And like I had to bail on a lot of that's basically when I got off of Facebook too, because it went haywire. It was nonstop. Like, oh, poor Ukraine, and not to get into like all of that, like there's two sides to every story. Now, I'm not saying
Sure.
Hitler's good, and I'm not saying that Kim Jong-un is good or whatever, but I'm also saying like these things don't happen in isolation. There's reasons for stuff, and like whatever you're seeing on Facebook is not all the information. That's it. That's all I'm saying, right? Like look beyond it, just Facebook.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, when it all kicked off, like it was wild for me because I had been prior to that sort of studying, Russian and Eastern European kind of cultural things just because it was new, it was different. It was a new thing for me to look at, and I found it really interesting. And then this thing happens, and it was just lots of reactions from the people I was watching, who were Russians, who were Eastern Europeans, and I could tell, that my opinion was being steered, right? Very, very clearly. And I'm sensitive to that. And I I said a few things like, I'm not going to be steered by this stuff. Like I like the people I like, and I'm not gonna I really do not want to be forced into hating Russians over this. I'm not going to do
Yeah,
it.
it
I
doesn't
have
make any
Russian
sense.
friends.
Yeah.
So, but I will say this also, it's pernicious. Like it's a deep soak because I have watched a handful, as you know, of Americans who moved to Russia, and they're running around saying, "Hey, this is what it's like." And there is a part, something got put in my head surreptitiously that is having a hard time believing it, right?
That it's
But
good? That like
that
they're
it's
telling you
good.
the truth?
That they're telling me the truth, but I'm aware of it. I'm aware that there's some kind of programming that's blocking me because I can feel it.
Yeah.
So on like a higher level, I'm like, wow, I have had programming put in me, even though I try to avoid the programming, but it's still there. So like I have wacky cognitive dissonance when I see these people walking around in Russia going, "Oh, look, it's nice, and there's a working economy, and the stores have stuff in it, and the food's really good." And there's something in my brain going, "Meh."
Yeah, they must be lying, right? It has to
It's
be.
just
There's no way it could be true. I know, because I had the same thing happen when I came over here. And I'm like, oh, you mean it's not like a war zone, and like there's not like people on the, military people on the corners checking your papers every which way. Like I had a really hard time when I came over here because I knew nothing about it. I had no idea what to expect. All I remembered was like, Soviet
yeah,
Cold War propaganda, basically. That was
right.
it. That's what I had.
Skipped over babushkas and commissars and ladas, right?
Yeah.
That's
And even having been in the military, like like Russia hates us. They're trying to destroy us, just like everyone's trying to destroy us, right? Like we have to be the biggest baddest on the block because everyone wants to, they hate our freedom or whatever goofy thing. So
right.
I was scared too when I came over here. I'm like, what if everybody hates me because I'm an American? And like it's not like that at all. And I could go on, like I could do hours and hours and hours of commentary on how all of it,
Right.
but it was good. It was a really good experience to go through that because it really forced me to, and I already knew like you can't trust the government, like no government, you can't trust the government.
No.
Come on, that's not what they're there for. They're not looking out for you, right? But like it was just this massive wake up call to the level of propaganda and psychological warfare that we are
Yes.
constantly under. And it like shifted my entire worldview. Like because everything that I had been told about this place was not just a little off and a little wrong, like the total opposite. I've taken so many videos. I don't ever post them, you guys. I don't post them. Anybody watching this, okay? I would go to the Kremlin. Every time I go to the Kremlin, I always do it. I take a video. I'm like, okay, guys, here's the Kremlin. And then I would turn around and do a 180, and there's Subway, there's KFC, there's McDonald's. Like, these are not people that hate America and hate American stuff. And it, like, you would think right at the Kremlin, you know, where like it's the citadel of all of
Right.
Putin's evil or whatever, that like you would have any of that stuff there. It's all like there's no communism. Like, I mean, there's a little bit. Like, if you have a baby, you get 3 to 6 years of paid maternity leave, which is nice, right? So there's there are social programs, but they're very capitalistic. Like, it's very West, like, what are you guys doing? Like, what's going on? So yeah, it was just a really big mind shift, and it really drove home, kind of, for better or worse, all of the stuff Alex Jones has been talking about for like the last 25, 30 years, right? So yeah, it's interesting, fun.
Yeah, you did like full body immersion anti-propaganda.
Yeah.
Which, that's a heck of a thing, because you went on a Japanese dating site, because
that's right.
That's how you do it. All
right. So right. I know I got to go to in a second, but I do want to just add, but that somebody was talking about North Korea the other day, and this is a problem. And Brett, or not Hart, no, oh God, I almost called him Harvey Weinstein. I'm so sorry.
Oh no,
not Brett. What's his name? The guy.
Ed?
The Weinstein that was talking to Terrence Howard on.
I think that was Ed.
It wasn't
Ed Weinstein.
No, it doesn't matter. But anyways,
okay.
He was talking about one of the problems with Terrence Howard is that people listen to him, and now they start to doubt science and math and all of this stuff, which, you should a little bit.
You should.
But now what's happened is, like, people will talk about North Korea, and I'll be like, I don't know. Because I'm not there. I have no idea what's actually going on over there. I don't know any of the stuff that America has said or any of the countries have said is happening. I just don't know. I can't verify any of it. So, like, I just don't believe. I'm not going to believe out of hand what you're telling me unless I've experienced it for myself, because I saw firsthand, like, how just blatantly wrong that stuff can be. So that's probably not good. Like, I distrust the government so much, the institutions, and there's like no faith. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm sure there's millions of people just like me.
Oh, you're not. I just didn't do it in a full-bodied way that you did, but I certainly.
Well, come to Russia. Come on over. Get you some borscht. Get you.
They say they're not. They're going to disallow American visas soon, apparently.
Well, who said no? They're not. Who said that?
Someone who went to Russia said that.
No. They're gonna.
Okay.
It doesn't. They have diplomats and stuff. There are probably people who will not be allowed to come, but your average tourist, they want them to come. They make the money, and it's good publicity, because when you come here, you're like, oh, everything I knew was a lie. So
yeah.
I worried about that when the war started too. I was like, oh God, they're gonna, they're not. They're not gonna do that.
So we're past the top of the hour. I just wanted to say thank you, and that you have your website, sumerianastrology.com, and
you're so good at this.
I am at friarpesel.wordpress.com.
That's right. Give us a visit. Kat is at Root Wisdom Health, I believe, .com. I believe that's hers. It's in the video description. So yeah.
All right.
Okay. Well, thanks for everyone who stuck it out. Love.
That's right.
And gratitude. All right. See you later, Friar.
Bye.